So in our previous class, we discussed on the macro structure of the polymers. So the components of macro structures are basically, if we have to quickly revise what we have discussed, the components of the macro structure are the polymer single chain. Basically, what is it made up of? What is the monomer? Is it a homo chain monomer, hetero chain monomer, polymer, or for example, a homomer, homopolymer, copolymer, such things? And even if it's a copolymer, is it a random copolymer or the alternating one or the graft one? Such things we discussed. And today we are going to discuss one more important aspect of the polymer structure, that is the microstructure of the polymer. How does this differ from the macro structure? In the microstructure, we are not too much worried about the way the the individual chain is constituent of individual chain. Rather, how the a polymer sample contains a large number of chains, right, in it, and all chains are of, or like for example, all chains are of not identical length. They have their own length. Likewise, they have their own molecular weight. So we take an average molecular weight, such things. Now, how are these chains held together? That's the point. Fine. So that is what microstructure of polymer is basically. The arrangement of a bundle of chains basically. So that is what microstructure is. So under microstructure, we can recognize a lot of chains, types, patterns in the chains. The simplest one being the linear one, fine, and even a branched one, branched chain, as well as a cross-linked one, cross-linked, and severely cross-linked, hugely cross-linked, highly cross-linked. So what is a linear one? It is simply a chain which is formed by linear bonding, covalent bond formation between monomers. Typically, a monomer is simply added one next one. In this fashion, the polymer goes on. A single chain. But please remember, a polymer sample doesn't contain a single chain. Never. All chains are almost like this. Fine, do you understand? All chains are almost like this. What's the point of difference? Maybe the number of monomers in each chain. That's it. Otherwise, the overall structure of a chain is like this, linear. A branch chain occurs when sometimes, for example, you see a monomer at the branch. Anyways, so in a linear chain, a monomer is divalent, right? So if you take a monomer, okay, let me not call monomer, a structural unit. Maybe by now you know how to differentiate a monomer and structural unit, right? Monomer is a full chemical entity, a stable compound, which is used to make polymers. But structural unit is a structural parameter. So in the long chain of a polymer, we have to recognize a unit which repeat itself over large distance. That becomes structural unit. For example, polythene. Ethene is the monomer. But what is the structural unit in polythene? It is CH2CH2. Of course, bracket N times. So CH2CH2 is a structural unit. So in any monomer, a structural unit is divalent. I hope you can understand this. What do you mean by divalent structural unit? Divalent. Yeah. Can you explain this statement of mine that a structural unit is divalent? No answers. No answers. Simple, yeah. What do you mean by divalent? A fragment or a subunit in a structure which has two unsatisfied valencies, right? That is what divalent means. Okay, you are sending through chats. It can extend on both sides. It can extend on both sides, but rather I should tell it can extend only two sides. Only on two sides. That is what divalent is. So a structural unit is divalent. But we also have something called end groups in a polymer. End groups. And what is the valency of end group? Is it divalent or multivalent? What is the valency of the end group?
Monovalent.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it is monovalent because it is terminated. However, sometimes the monomers, depending on the type of or depending on the chemical nature of the monomers, there can be a trivalent monomer. It happens usually with copolymers here. And when the other monomer, the second monomer, is in small quantities. So you can uh, mix a trivalent monomer, basically, trivalent structural unit and polymerize. So at a branch point, can you see this is a branch point? Look at this monomer. How many valencies it has? 3. Fine. So if the third valency is linked to a small chain, linear chain, then it appears like there is a stem, there is a trunk on which there are branches. So this is how a branched structure looks like. And what are these cross-linked ones? So in the branched structure, the end group of the branch are monovalent. There are end groups basically. Now, if you make this divalent group and attach another chain, instead of attaching a single monomer, attach another chain like this. You see these, there are chains, main chains, and all chains are linked covalently. Please remember this. In the linear and branch structure, what is the bonding amongst chains, in between chains? It is not covalent. Every chain is linked to other chain through some other forces, not covalent. But whereas in cross-linked polymers, it's like this. So our chains are linked through covalent small chains again, covalently linked. Therefore, this becomes a cross-linked. It's almost like a mesh, you know. Uh, I hope you understand the meaning of a mesh when we uh, give examples from what we see. So it's almost like a mesh network. That's what a cross-linked polymer is. Now, this cross-linkage can be in high proportions, uh, depending on the technique of polymerization as well as the chemistry of polymerization. It can be in high proportions. In that case, you get highly cross-linked polymer structure. So this is what highly cross-linked polymer structure is. So these are important types of uh, microstructures of polymers recognized. Now, let us take the structure of a linear chain example. So why I want you to understand this is, see, okay, now this is of course a linear polymer, pictures of a schematic representation of linear polymers. But I mean, how do you know it's a linear polymer? You can trace from one end group to another end group without any branches. You can go. So that's a linear polymer. But see, a single chain is not straight like what I showed here. Like what I showed here. Even if it is not too much straight even, but it is coiled. It is coiled like this. Whereas in this picture, a linear chain is more orderly arranged. Okay, you can see it goes as a straight chain almost, then takes a turn, comes back as a chain, takes a turn, comes back as a straight chain. Whereas in the third picture, you see, of course, there is ordering of the chain, but not too much order as this one, nor too much random as the first one. So you can call this semi-ordered. But what about this? This is randomly coiled. So uh, these are the patterns recognizable in a linear polymer. Even within linear polymer, these are the patterns recognizable. While uh, we can attribute all those factors which control the macro structure. I mean, the control the structure of a macromolecules. The same factors stabilize these chains. So, example, Maybe you can remember something about your protein structures example, or even your DNA, simply your DNA structures. How many chains of DNA are there in a molecule of DNA? Basically, in a molecule of DNA, how many chains of polymer? I mean, we are taking example from biological polymer. So how many chains of DNA in a molecule? Two chains, right? You have one chain and its complementary other chain. So two chains, but how are these two chains held together? With what forces? Is it a covalent bonding between chains? Is there a covalent bonding? No, they're held together by numerous hydrogen bonding between the nitrogenous bases. Is it not? Similarly, almost a similar picture happens here. So these chains are also held through some forces of attraction between the monomers here. Of course, not covalent. It can be hydrogen bonding. Of course, hydrogen bonding is a very uh, important player in stabilizing macrostructures or in stabilizing the structures of macromolecules. Hydrogen bonding is a very important factor. Or it can be sometimes ionic bonding also if there are oppositely charged groups. Van der Waals force of attractions are always there, or sometimes salt bridges. All these structures do come into pictures. All these forces do come into picture in stabilizing the chain of a polymer. But you know, uh, of course, this arrangement is not fixed here. It is not permanent. You can change this arrangement. For example, a very orderly arrangement can be broken and made random by simply supplying heat. Is it not? So that's all. Those things are also there. But why is the pattern of arrangement of a chain important to us? Because it dictates physical properties. Can you see this? A randomly coiled chain like this is basically amorphous. The polymer material is amorphous, whereas an ordered chain like this is crystalline in nature, and the material is almost in between amorphous and crystalline. So this is semi-crystalline because there is small range order. Whereas there is a long range order here, there is no order at all. So this, I mean, you have not changed the monomer. Please understand, the same monomer you have taken and have prepared it in different states, amorphous or crystalline. How did you do this? By simply altering how the chains are arranged. So the microstructure of the polymer is important now because it dictates or it determines physical properties. Microstructure of polymers. Even for example here, network polymer, network and cross-link polymer. For example, okay, now there is one property of the plastic polymers you look for, the elasticity, right? Sometimes depending on the requirement. Elastic polymer, you can have thin films, whereas rubbers, all these are elastics. You cannot make an elastic polymer if you have an arrangement like this. It becomes a rigid polymer. Maybe you can use this to make some very hard objects, whereas the random one is more elastic. Similarly here, these cross-linked are very rigid, whereas loosely cross-linked are a bit elastic. So these physical properties are controlled by the microstructure of the polymers. Okay, so that is about macro and microstructure. Now we will move on to one more important topic, that is called tacticity in polymers. Fine. The term tacticity is a stereochemistry term. Of course, not limited only to the polymers. It's a very general term. What do you mean by tacticity? Anybody has an answer? Of course, I'm not expecting because could be this is a new term to you. What is this tacticity? Somebody? Okay, fine. So tacticity refers to the relative arrangement of the groups on neighboring chiral centers. Okay, relative arrangement of groups on neighboring. What do you mean by this? Example: when you write your meso compounds and trio compound, not meso, sorry, erythro and trio compounds. So their tacticity comes into picture. While erythro contains both the substituents on the chiral center on the same side, trio contains on the opposite sides. But basically, it's same side and opposites are all relative configurations. So that is what tacticity is. So in a polymer also tacticity is there. So I mean, I just want to draw your attention to one more important parameter of the structure of the polymer which we have not discussed. Many polymers are chiral in nature. Okay, they do contain chiral carbon atoms, chiral centers in them. Example, you got polystyrene. Yeah. What about this chiral? What about this carbon? Is it not a chiral center? What is, of course, what is simply a chiral center? How to recognize it? Should be attached to 4 different substituents. See here, the carbon here, H on this side, phenyl ring, and a CH2 alkyl chain, CH2 alkyl chain. When does this not become, okay, very important. When does this become achiral? Of course, very rare, but this can become achiral. What circumstance? What is the condition if this has to become achiral? Shall I repeat the substituents? Hydrogen, phenyl, alkyl chain, and the other side also alkyl chain. How can this become achiral? When will this become achiral? Any answers? Okay. Yes. Somebody's answer. When does this become achiral? Yes, I'm getting from chest. When both alkyl chains become same, good. Yeah, become same. Okay, I just want to refine your answer a bit, Bhavna. Not when the both alkyl chains become same. What do you mean by that same? Become of same length. Is it not? So, but how many such chiral centers are there in a linear polymer example? Too many. And maybe accidentally you select a chiral center which is exactly at the middle of the chain, where 2 alkyl chains of the same length, only then it becomes achiral. But even then, there can be a single achiral carbon atom in the entire chain. Rest all carbon atoms which are attached to the phenyl group are chiral. So now, many a times we overlook this 3-dimensionality of a polymer structure. And whenever we talk about chiral centers, they are always 3-dimensional structures. Right? You cannot make a chiral molecule which is fully planar. Never. The chirality always stems out of 3-dimensionality. And if the 3-dimensionality you have different, all those stereochemistry things, you please recall. Now, we simply what we do generally, we just write a chain like this. Even the polystyrene chain with all these chiral centers, the alternating carbon atom is a chiral center. Of course, the CH2 is not because it is attached to 2 hydrogens. Now, if we write a structure like this, we are actually doing some injustice to writing the structures, is it not? It should be represented in a 3-dimensional way. So rather the better way of, or not the better, the real way of, or the way in which we can represent the structure close to reality is this. The carbon chain has to be zigzag, right? I know we know from the basic stereo